want to pick up our conversation on the new Trump national security team. Before the break, Reza Aslan warned that retired General Mike Flynn calling Islam an ideology and not a religion effectively strips American Muslims of their constitutional protections. I want to bring back in Kayleigh McEnany, a Donald Trump supporter, for well over a year now to get your reaction on this. Again, to be clear, Mike Flynn said that Islam is a political ideology masking as a religion.
Right, and it's important to understand why he made that statement. You have Andy McCarthy, a very respected former federal prosecutor, National Review columnist who has written extensively on this, and what he has said is that, look, 90% of the Quran is in fact a legal doctrine. It is Sharia. He's not saying that as an insult to the religion, but that is in fact, it's structured differently than typical type, Christian religions or Jewish religions, the way that those books are structured. So that is what he's meaning academically. And then also, I think it's completely unfair to say that he called Islam a cancer, because when you actually listen to the whole statement in context, he says, look, this ideology is being used for people to cut off other people's heads, to commit mass atrocities across the globe. That's a problem. That is a cancer. He was referring to the way it is being used, the radicalized version of Islam. So to just caricature him as being anti-Islam and take bits and pieces of his statements, and then to suggest that Muslims are not going to have constitutional rights under the Trump administration, I just think is absurd hyperbole, and I really don't think it's a responsible way to speak.
Reza?
I mean, no offense to Kayleigh, but you really don't know what you're talking about when it comes to either the Quran or the Bible. About 120 verses of the Quran have to do with legal matters out of tens of thousands. And if you've actually read the first 5 chapters of the Bible, you would know that it is mostly law. All religions are about not just your faith, but about the way that you conduct yourself in the world. So, in a way, all religions are about ideology, however you define that. But that's not what Michael Flynn was saying. Michael Flynn was saying, and it seems as though you may agree with him, that Islam is different. It's not like other religions, and so it has to be treated differently. Not Islamic radicalism, not Islamic extremism, but Islam, and by definition, the 1.5 billion adherents of it, regardless of their political or military views. And that includes the 1% of the American population, citizens here under the United States Constitution, that actually follow Islam as a religion.
Well, Reza, I just want to quickly respond because, when confronted with facts, a lot of times the other commentators descend into ad hominem attacks, which is what you just did to me. I have read the Bible.
I corrected your facts.
There are academic scholars that disagree with your facts. Andy McCarthy, I named him, former federal prosecutor who completely disagrees
not a scholar of religion.
With your characterization. So just let's not descend into ad hominem attacks, but worse than that, let's not descend into absurdities and suggest that Islamic Americans will not have constitutional rights. They have all the constitutional rights that I have as a Christian. President-elect Trump has never suggested otherwise, and it's irresponsible to come on here and cry racist, Islamophobic, and use these terms and misconstrue people's words. It's very sad. Let's give him a chance. Let's listen to President Obama and give him a chance.
Fear of Muslims is rational. That's what he said.
President-elect Trump at various times in his campaign has called for banning all Muslims from the United States. He's called for monitoring Muslim neighborhoods. He has peddled a lie that American Muslims celebrated 9/11, and even after that lie was repeatedly exposed, continued to say that lie. These are not opinions, Kayleigh. I am actually stating observable facts.
Well, let's start with the first thing you said, which was a reduction of the facts, not the facts per se. You said a complete ban on Muslims. He said a temporary ban until we find out what's going on. That was on the heels of someone getting into our country, Tashfeen Malik, and taking 18 lives. That was on the heels of that. It's since been reformed to be people who come from terror hotbed countries. Let's get our facts right, because nuance matters, and to come on and say a complete ban, you leave out all the nuance. You leave out the temporary, you leave out until we figure out what's going on, and you scare a heck of a lot of people.
Actually, the truth, Kayleigh, is that Donald Trump has yet to actually clarify. The ban on Muslims is still on his website. It's still part of his platform. We've gotten numerous indications back and forth from his campaign about whether that actually means a religious test or whether that's from Muslim-majority countries, which in and of itself is quite problematic because that's not where all the terrorism is. I mean, look, the fact of the matter is that anti-Muslim bigotry has been the hallmark of Donald Trump's campaign throughout. And now he has brought together a cabinet so far of people who tend to agree with his views about Islam and about Muslims, and that has to be problematic. And again, to this whole constitutional element thing here, it's really just math, Kayleigh. If Islam is not a religion, then Muslims don't get religious rights, period.